All right, 2-minute warning, 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning, finish up what you need. Make sure you get your rating. How well are we doing? And if you're a new person, you can tell us how well we've done today. But 2 minutes, we are coming back. 2 minutes. All right, if you want to begin to make your way back to a seat, we will get started. Haide mai. Come on back and find your way. We'll gather together again. Find your way back to a seat, grab that cup of tea or coffee, and we will get started. If I can draw us back. Come on back, come on back, come on back. All right, if I could draw us back together, we will look at getting started this morning. I'm very interested to know your answers. I want to know on a scale of 1 to 5 how we are doing. Come on back, come on back, come on back. One quick thing before we do get started that I do want to let you know about. Someone reminded me about this. If you do want to help out practically for Amy and Cam and the family, if there's something more you want to do, there are 2 ways you can help out, 3 ways actually. There is a meal roster that's available. That's gone out by email. So if you want to help out that way, you can cook a meal. There's all the details. You can sign up for everything there online. Equally, I believe next Saturday we are doing a Kim Wilson, who often plays keyboards up here, she's organized a gardening venture at Cam and Amy's house. So I think we're going to go and just help shape up the gardens. And I believe if you want to bring a flower or something to plant, you're welcome to do that. That's gone out on our GSB community Facebook page. But I'll try and share it widely via an email. So if you want to just come and do something practically, you're welcome to come next Saturday to their house and just kick in a bit and make sure all the gardens and everything look nice. And I think the one other thing is I think they're also hosting another prayer meeting for the family at the Empowerment Hub in Tapuki. I believe it's next Sunday night at 7 o'clock. So if you want to go pray there, those are a few different options of ways you can get behind the family and practically help out. So did you guys talk about the question? Did you guys talk about it? Lots of you didn't. I know, you're sinners, and shame on you. I see your rebelliousness, and the Lord will bring you into discipline. No, I'm just kidding. I don't mind. What I want to do now is most everybody should have 5 fingers on at least one hand, correct? Look, some people may not, but at least at one hand. You got 4 on one hand. Oh, you're smart. 1 thumb. All right. What I want to do is on the count of 3, I want you to gauge. You can rate between 1 to 5 how well you think we as a church are doing at mission, which is kind of any kind of outreach, anything externally, new people, new converts, the whole kit and caboodle. All right? So on the count of 3, I want you to put your hand up in the air with your rating. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go. All right. Cool. All right. Got some 3s, we got some 2s, we got some 3s, a couple of 1s, a 4, some 4s, that's awesome, some 4s, 3s, 2s. Okay, cool. All right, what I want to do is, if you are a 1 or a 2, can you put up your hand? And I want to ask, Carl's got a mic, and I just want to hear a snapshot of why. Wait, no, hold on. I know Christians are terrible about being negative. We'll start with the 4s. All right, any 4s? 3s and 4s. 3s and 4s. Can you put up your hand if you're a 3 or a 4? All right, 3 or 4. I just want to hear a snapshot. Why do you think that? You are more than welcome.
Oh, hello. That's loud.
It's for the stream, man. It's for the stream. So people online know.
I don't know. Love engaging with people and having people around for dinner.
Cool. Yep. So
Yeah.
we're good at engaging. We've had people around for dinner. Awesome. Sweet. Great. Anyone else? Threes and fours. Because I don't think I saw any fives. We're all pessimistic here. It's fine. Yeah.
Hi, I really like how we all connect in the little groups and do a lot of different things like sing-alongs and
Yeah.
surfing and all kinds of things.
Cool. Awesome. So the connect groups are a great way that we're being able to do that. Awesome. Threes and fours. Can I get some other ones? Here we go. Threes and fours.
I'm just sensing a real heart for mission out there for people around us in the community.
Yeah. So there's a willingness probably within our heart to do it. Cool. Anyone else? Threes and fours. It's worth noting. So we've got some good community stuff. We've got some good connect groups. Yep. When?
Hi, praise the Lord. I think that when we can do more than what a fisherman's club or a golf club or some other membership does, then we're on the ball. We have to be careful not to become introverted,
Yeah.
put it that way.
Oh, you're pushing us into the ones and twos here, Wynn. I like it. I like it. That's good. Any other threes and fours that we've missed? Anything else that anyone wants to add? Because this is really helpful. I promise you, the elders and the team, we are listening to know what we're doing. Okay, cool. Awesome. Now I want the ones and the twos. Why do you put us there? You are allowed, also, real quick, Bruce, it's worth noting at Golden Sands, you are allowed to disagree and you are allowed to question. Disagreement does not equal disunity here, okay? So you're allowed
I'm
to say
borderline. I'm 2.5.
Okay.
I think we do stuff internally well, but there's a lot of potential for stuff externally.
Cool. Yeah, so we just haven't necessarily got to the
Yeah.
external stuff yet. Cool. Yeah.
Sort of the same, like I can't see where we are in the community. We're really good at connecting with each other and forming friendships and being welcoming, but it's that presence out there in at the coal face outside this building.
Cool. Thanks, Sean. Yep. Other ones, yeah, check your hands up. This is really good listening.
I think that we're at a stage, because we're feeling new, that we're still building our internal mission of each other. We're still growing our church care and our looking after each other.
Yeah.
And we're doing a bit like the youth, and there's a bit of mission happening.
Yeah.
But I think we're still at the stage where we're not internal as much as focusing on growing our connections with each other.
Yeah.
And then when that's nice and strong, then we're ready to.
Yep. So there's a thought of we're growing
head
our
out.
structures to
Yeah.
be able to sustain some more work. Yep. Cool. Yeah. We got Kelly. Yeah. Awesome.
I'd just really like to see within the church people stepping up to learn and train to evangelise.
Cool. Yep.
I'm really keen. I want to learn some more tips.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Evangelism, helping people understand the faith, really important. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Elaine.
Hi. Kia ora.
I think within the church we do fantastic stuff, and we are a really good community. I'd like us to take that community out and maybe on the land and do some services there, so we could let the community know we are here.
Yeah. Just let them know we exist.
Yeah, because at the moment we're distant from where we're gonna be.
Yeah. Cool.
Otherwise, it's great.
Yeah. Other thoughts? This is really, really good. I want us to be thinking this way. Anyone else? Ones and twos? Oh, we got Paul in the back. Paul in the back. He's holding a baby. Perfect.
Absolutely. I think because of the age of the church that we are, we've done really good growing organically and making connections with each other. But we're at a point where we need to look at growing intentionally. And at the moment, we're growing kind of like a shellfish does, where we filter feed from the community and pick up people who are similar to us. But we need to grow a bit more like a fish does and go find people who aren't as similar and possibly get out in the community and explore a bit more.
Yeah. Shellfish versus fish. Oh, I've not heard that analogy. I thought with the fish it was going to end by finding people who would not like us and eating them. So I'm glad it didn't end that way. Yeah, Becca. We got Becca at the back.
I think, well, what's God's mission? There's lots of things, but one of the things that I hear and see is all across New Zealand is that God is bringing a unity and a tapping into Māoritanga. And I don't see us doing it here. I see us trying to engage a bit in the reo, but I don't see like architecture, and I don't see stuff on the walls, and I don't see tikanga. I'm not the right person to speak to that, but we need to be engaging with people who can speak to that.
Whew, fire. I like it. It's good. It's good. Yep. Any others? Any other ones? Yeah. We got Sylvia. Oh, yeah.
I think I'm going to say the same as lots of people, that we've done okay in sort of getting good community going within here. But I think it's something we've got to pray about, and people have to have it on their heart to lead some sort of mission. Like, my heart is financial education. So, you know, how can I be supported to reach out into the community to do that? And there'll be other people that have got things on their heart, but it has to come from somebody who's got the passion to run with it. Because Colin can't do everything. You know, he needs the people to know what they want to do and get supported to do it.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. That's really, really helpful. Alex, do you want to flick me over to sermon slides now, buddy? What we are doing, and if you're new here, we are in the midst of our vision series. We are 2 years old, and I started this last week with a challenge saying, you know, basically what a lot of you guys have said. We started 2 years ago, and we were scrappy, and we were young, and we didn't know what we were doing, and we were meeting in a very cold concrete icebox where it was too loud and really uncomfortable, but we felt like God was with us. And over that 2 years, we've grown, and we've built some structures, and we built some ideas, and we built some momentum. And now we're at a place where we really need to decide what kind of church are we going to become. And now normally what happens in a vision series, often in churches, is that a pastor quite like myself will come to you with, here's the big idea, and I will try to present it to you in the most beautiful, articulate way that will inspire you, and it'll encourage you to get up off your bums and do something, right? We're taking a little bit of a different approach here. At Golden Sands Baptist, one of the things that I've always said is I deeply believe that Jesus is leading this church. Not me. I believe Jesus has called us, and Jesus is walking with us. And the way that we hear Jesus is not through me going to a mountaintop to hear and get my vision and then come back and relay it to you. But as Baptists, we believe that we hear God not from here, but from here. That Jesus leads through you. That he speaks through your voice. Whether you are a regular person who's been here for ages, or whether this is your first time here, we believe that Jesus can speak through you to help us hear where we are going. So what we are doing on this vision series is a little bit different, is it's more of a conversation rather than a monologue. Rather than me saying this is where we're going, this is us talking and listening together. And each week we're going to process the feedback that's gotten. And the elders, we're going to be working through that. We're going to relay that back to you. And we're going to keep working at building this vision a bit cohesively. Does that sound cool? It's going to require some talking to people. And I know the introverts in here are like, oh God, no. It's okay. Sometimes if it's important, it's worth talking about. So whether you are new or a oldie here, you are welcome into that space. So we believe that God has a vision for us. We believe in the gospel of Jesus, which is that God is making all things new in the world. He is transforming everything, and he's starting with people like you and me. And we believe that Papamoa and Tauranga and Aotearoa, all of it will be transformed by the gospel to be what God dreamed it would be. And so for us, we have this logo that you may see on our things, and this represents the 4 key ways that we believe God is going to work through us to do that. And it's the 4 things that every church has done since the beginnings of the church in the first century. 4 basic things. Mission, they did outreach, they did evangelism, they cared for the poor and the needy, they looked after the sick, they cared for the culture around them. Worship, we worship and glorify God. That is just part and parcel of who we are. We can't be anything but a worshiping community. Discipleship, it's being formed in the way of Jesus. This isn't just to come and hear a good talk and walk away. You want to be formed. This means challenge. This means growth. This means difficult conversations with people that you don't like but you need to have because it's important for your growth. And finally, community. None of those things are done on your own. So the Christian journey is not something you can do on your own spiritual journey. This isn't something you can do on your own time. It's only ever done bound in community with the people around you. So this is what we're doing. Over the next 4 weeks, we're going to talk about these different things. And obviously today we are talking about mission. And as we do, I want to ask you a question. You ever just get bored of all of it? Like this? Yeah, I know this is something a pastor's not supposed to ask, because you're supposed to be really excited to listen to me every week, right? Every week you got your pen and your paper and you are ready to take down all the notes of glorious wisdom that I'm about to spit out to you, right? I know we're not supposed to say it, but you ever just get bored? You just come and you hear the talk and you hear the talk again and you're like, yeah, that was a good talk, and now they talk about how to be nice to other people. Oh, we sang that song again, that chorus again. Okay. All right, cool. All right, cool. Stories from the community. Oh, cool. Same 3 people sharing their stories. Cool. I'll just go get the ginger kisses at the back and make my way home, right? Too late. They're all gone. Come on. You greedy guts. I'm sure all the carrots and celery are left. You unhealthy. But I ask that question because I know probably as a pastor you're not allowed to say it, but I often feel the same way. You can often feel like you're just going through the motions, right? You come to church because that's what you're supposed to do. You send your kids to children's church because that's what they're meant to do, and to be honest, you don't want them bothering you during the talk. Maybe you're listening to it, maybe you're not. We're not sure. You could be looking at your phone or Facebook or Bible. Only the Lord knows, right? So you could just go through the motions and you can sing the songs. And honestly, church, and I know this, I am a pastor's kid. I am a missionary kid. My dad, the way that they did church planting when I was a kid, I grew up in Mexico. And the way that they did church planting back then was they would hold revival tent services every night of the week for a month. Every single night. Every single night you'd come, you'd do your song, someone would do a message, and then there'd be an altar call for healing and prayer, and then you'd be like, wow, that was great. Doing it again. And you do it for a month, again and again. So I've done my fair share of church. I've put in my hours. I've ticked those boxes. I've heard most of those sermons. And it can be really easy for any of us in a church culture to just get bored. But I often think, and then when we get bored, one of the things is we hope is that the church will spice things up for us. And we look for the church that will spice things up for us. Maybe we'll look for the church with the really, really good music because, look, everything else is boring, but if I can get that one music hit, that'll sail me through the week. That'll be great. Yes. And other people are like, oh, I hate that. I'm going to pick the church with the shortest amount of music and go to that one because I can't stand it. Or maybe you're like, I'm bored with all the talk, so I'm going to go find a pastor who's preaching on something that's more exciting. I've never heard it before. Let's do Revelation. Sure, that sounds great. We'll spend 9 months in a crazy book. That'll be a great reason. And so we hope that church will spice us up. We got a great kids program. They got 13 climbing walls and 15 smoke machines. That'll be great. Because we're trying to find something that draws us back in. But I wonder if those things will still leave us bored at the end of the day. Because perhaps the problem isn't how creative or fancy the church is. Maybe it's a question of vision and mission. One of the movies that my kids love right now is WALL-E. Everyone seen WALL-E? WALL-E is just one of the best Disney Pixar films. It's about a cute little robot. The earth gets filled with rubbish, and so all the humans have to run away and escape, and little WALL-E is left cleaning up the mess. And he's supposed to put all the trash into little cube boxes. And then the idea is that one day, once he's done, the humans will come back and everything will be better. But the earth was so destroyed, the humans thought they'd never come back. And it starts off as a really cute film about the robot. You're like, oh, it's like a silent film. And he loves his plant. He's got the cockroach that he runs over, but the cockroach is always okay. You know, it's important stuff. Honestly, my kids were really worried about that part. And they're like, cockroach! But then halfway through the movie, a robot comes, they find some green life, and the robot takes the green life back to the spaceship. And at that point, the movie takes a hard left turn. And if you're a kid, you don't notice it, but as an adult, you begin to get real uncomfortable. About halfway through the movie, when they get to this spaceship with all the humans, and they all look like this. Just huge, They've forgotten how to walk because they don't need to, and they're coasting around in their chairs, their magnetic chairs that lead them everywhere, and it's got like beaches, and if you want to change your outfit, you push a button, you don't even need to change your clothes, they just change color on you. And they've got constant screens in front of them. And now WALL-E was done like years ago. As time has passed, it's only become more and more apparent how dangerously close we are moving towards WALL-E's reality. And as I watched this, I could not help, as I watched this recently with my kids, I could not help but think how easily we engage with church the same way. See, when the humans left, they had a mission and they had a purpose. They were going to go while the earth was cleaned up, and they had to be ready for the moment when the earth was ready. They would come back, they would resettle, and they'd make everything great again. But halfway through their journey, they lost sight of that purpose. They thought it'll never happen, and so then they got distracted with whatever could make them most comfortable and happy in the time. And so there's constant bright lights, hitting them with dopamine constantly. They're scrolling through new things. They don't even have to turn to look at someone because they can just show up on the screen. They forget how to walk, they forget how to move, and it becomes one of the most challenging things. And I can't help but think how easy it is for church the same way. We want churches to be fancy because we get bored, but I wonder if we're getting bored because we've forgotten the purpose of why we're meant to be here. Maybe focusing on all of this and that and that and that. It's like sitting in our chairs, swiping through the screen, looking for the next dopamine hit because we've forgotten the reason why we're here. Which brings us to this idea of mission. See, God has always had a plan for humanity. From the very beginning of Genesis till the end of Revelation, the Bible tells one cohesive story with a lot of tangents and some genocide mixed in. But it tells one grand narrative of humans that were made great and beautiful, that were made to be God's representatives, who go and find themselves astray, lost. And the entire story of the Bible is a story of God's work to redeem and restore his creation again. We see that in Genesis when he calls out Abraham, and we talked about this a couple of weeks. All the nations will be blessed in and through you. We see that through the story of Israel as they get the Torah and the law. They were meant to be a sign to all the other nations of what the kingdom lifestyle was meant to look like. And then we see that most clearly in the person of Jesus, who fully embodies this missionary story of God who himself does not wait for humans to come back and get better to get to him, but God who comes into humanity, becomes one of us, identifies with the very worst of us, and on the cross takes the very worst that we have to offer. And through his death and his resurrection, he transforms it and begins to bring new life. He conquers the power of sin and death and starts this small community which ends up calling themselves the ecclesia, which is a political term for an outpost of another kingdom. The Roman country would have ecclesia in these far-off cities to try and bring the kingdom of Rome, so the church decided to call themselves the ecclesia of the kingdom of God. And we would long to ourselves be a witness, a symbol of what God's redemptive mission looks like. Paul talks about it this way. The Son is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For in him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities, all things have been created through him and for him. And God was pleased to have all his dwellness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. And then he looks to us, and Paul then writes to the Corinthian church, all this is from God, who reconciled himself through Christ and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That God was reconciling the world to himself in Christ, not counting people's sins against them. And he has committed to us the message of reconciliation. See, in the big picture of things, God's mission, our job is to join in with Jesus in his work of making all things new. Now remember, God's not sitting with his hands tied waiting for humans to do their best. If that was the answer, we'd all be stuffed, right? But Jesus, and I really believe this, Jesus is already actively working in our community and in our city, and our job is to be looking with God-centered eyes for what he's doing and joining with him in that, to bring renewal to our city and to our place. Another picture of that is this. heaven and earth coming together in Jesus. That happens on a societal level and a personal level. We talked about this last week. All things made new. And the fascinating thing is, once we can get a hold of that vision of why we're here, of what the point of the church is, not just to have a happy, clappy time, not to have a great kids program so that you can have a break during the week, not to have the best music so that we can draw all the cool people, not to have the best infrastructure. Like, that's not our goal. Our goal is to partner with God in making all things new in our community. And for us, we don't know what the answer to that is. That's why we're having these conversations. But it looks like Jesus. It means looking after the poor. It means taking care of the sick. It means finding a home for the immigrants, for the lonely, for the needy, for introducing people to the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, for them to become baptized and become his followers, and by that way to see our city transformed. The cool thing about Wally was that once a few people discovered this mission, and they discovered their purpose again and what they were trying for, you begin to see the first time that they learn how to walk again. After sitting on their bums for years and years and years, they begin to take steps. And so my question for us today is, it's really easy for us a couple of years on to get bored with Golden Sands Baptist. We're not that new or hip anymore, right? We finished Revelation, how much edgier can we get? Oh, we did politics, ooh. You know, like, why are we here? If it's to hear edgy sermons or just have good programs, we're gonna get bored with that. The mission of God, redeeming and restoring all things, our neighbors, our friends, our families, being loved and cared for by God, that must fuel us. And if it doesn't, we will get bored with all the superficial things. And so we want to talk about mission. And we're going to talk about this really practically, and I'm going to have you talk about this in groups in just a second. Because the honest truth is, we have a real challenge ahead of us. We've heard it from about 3 or 4 people. We're quite nice to each other. I think we're pretty good with new people. We could get better. If you're new here today, let us know how we're doing. If we're crap, we'll try and get better, right? We're not perfect. But we try to do good within here. But we need to start thinking outside of ourselves. And here's the real kicker. We have been doing a lot of work on a building program. We own land out in Golden Sands. We have a whole hectare that's completely paid for. Praise God, and fundraisers and generous givers. We have a hectare of land that is freehold. On top of that, we've been able to raise about $1.3, $1.5 million so far for a future building, which is crazy. I'm saying those numbers like I'm chill about them. They're so big they don't mean anything. That's how crazy it is, right? So God has done a lot, and there's really cool moves. And honestly, the building plans that we're working on and the architects that we've chosen, we chose specifically because this team and this building we think has the best potential to be a community-facing missional building that serves the neighborhood around us in lots of different ways. That was the main reason we chose this building. And now here's the challenge, church, is we have a church building vision that's this, missional, community focused, and we have a church culture that's over here. We want to be that, but we're not necessarily doing a whole lot of it yet. We have 2.5 to 3 years to get from here to there. And if we don't start taking missions seriously in our community, the great danger is that this building doesn't actually serve as a community hub or a missional hub. The great danger is that it becomes a monument to ourselves. Honestly, that's what's before us. And Lord help me if we build a $5 million monument to ourselves. Right? So mission matters. It's really important. And this discussion is really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to do something that New Zealanders don't like to do, which I'm going to ask you to turn and talk to each other for the next few minutes. Okay? Remember, you're going to be like, oh, I don't like this isn't good. Remember, the vision, the mission, if it's worth doing, it's worth talking about. And what I want you to do is I want you to get your groups. I'm going to have 3 questions for each of you. So nominate a scribe, and I want you to write those ideas onto stickies. We are going to collate those and work through those and email those out to you, okay? And look, if this is really not your thing and you're a visitor and you're filled with anxiety right now, that's fine. You can just stay silent or you can go grab a cup of coffee. That's okay. But this matters to us, and I don't want to miss it, okay? So turn into groups of maybe like 5 or 6 just in your chairs. The host teams have some stickies and some pens that they're going to hand out, and we're going to do some questions together. So circle up into groups. You can do it. We can be brave. The person next to you will not bite, I promise you. We can be a church that talks to each other. It'll be great. Life will go on. We can do it. Let's gather ourselves into groups. We're going to try and move quickly, so get yourselves arranged as you need to. I'm going to keep pushing us so this doesn't take forever, but hopefully it moves through at a good pace. If you haven't yet, introduce yourselves to everyone else in the group. All right. Hands up if you need stickies or pens so the host can see. Hands up if you need a sticky or a pen. Keep those hands up. Come on, keep those hands up. I don't know why I have to grunt when I do this, but if you need stickies and pens, keep your hands up. We will get them to you. Keep your hands up if you need stickies and pens. Don't worry, the hosts are working. If we run short of stickies, hosts, we can get some paper from upstairs. All right, keep your hands up if you still need something. Hands up if you still need something. All right, we got one group. I see that hand, Nat. I see that hand. All right. I should do more of that. It feels fun. I see that hand. All right. Anyone else? We just have Nat over there. All right. Host, do we have any more stickies for... yeah, we just got Nat right there. Perfect. Any more hands? Okay. Shh. We've run out. All right. Sylvia, if you want, we can grab some paper from the upstairs printer to give to people if we need that. And there are some clipboards in the host cupboard. Oh, if we've run out. If we need those, then we need it. All right, cool. So in your groups, nominate a scribe. You're probably just going to point to the person with the best penmanship. That's what you got to do. And what I want you to do is talk about this question, which is... All right, hold on, we're almost there. We did a rating scale of 1 to 5, and we had 0, 5 hands up. What I want to ask is, what does a level 5 mission church look like? See if you can give me top maybe 3 features. Top 3 features. What does a level 5 church look like? Now, that could be anything. That could mean big, you could get really practical, like a counseling center. It needs a counseling center. It could also be another picture. You could be saying a level 5 church gives 20% of its budget away every year as just a guide. You know, like you can pick. What does a level 5 mission church look like? All right, go ahead. Do a couple minutes. What does it look like? Let's make sure we write down those ideas, and we'll do just a couple more minutes, and then I want to hear back. All right, one more minute, see if you can grab any other ideas, and if you can, try to rank them. And if you can't agree on ranking them, then the scribe can just make an executive decision. Cool. All right, let's gather us together. What we want to do is we want to hear back real quick. Carl's got the roving mic. We're going to go around and hear snapshots. Let's wrap it up. I want to begin to hear, and again, church, let's listen together because we're listening to God together here. What might a level 5 mission church look like? Go ahead, Oki. Yeah. Can we get MC2 on?
Well, I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't see what it says on the paper. But it's a missional church, a level 5 one, is one that's doing things in the community. So it's not just coming into church and not just giving our money to the church, but it's giving our time and our, talents that we've got to people in the community, but within the church, within the greater community outside the church, but then also New Zealand and abroad.
Awesome. Let's just do one thing each, otherwise we're going to be here for years. So we'll just go one thing around. It's good.
We felt that looking after the needs of people in the community and then presenting them with the love of Jesus and the gospel is the way that Jesus did it. And in order to help to do that, we had talked about a number of things, but one of them, we'd love to see, say, between 10 and 20% of the church's income ring-fenced and given away towards those kind of activities into the community.
Awesome. Big goal. 10 to 20% of our money doesn't see us. Awesome. Cool. We're just going to do this side. We won't do everybody because we got the stickies and we got a few other questions. Yep.
I'm just gonna read one, and it says here, consistent program and not just a one-time thing.
Yep.
So it's ongoing and it covers all age group as well.
Okay, so intergenerational and there for the long haul, not just flash in the pan. Cool. Yep.
Very spiritual people here. Feed the Poor program, maybe even House the Poor, create a church that creates jobs.
Hey.
And perhaps a culture of the evidence of the Holy Spirit flowing out of people. Cool. That's important.
Yep. Yep.
I've been nominated. Our group felt that Mission Church really is about acceptance and that it's important that we feel that there's no qualification. That's really huge. Reaching the lost and helping the needy.
Cool. All right, let's just do this last one and then we're going to go to the next question. Go ahead, Vicky.
We thought that we need to have our eyes open to the needs of others and then being prepared to act on it.
Right. Well, that, I couldn't ask for a better segue into question number 2. So, scribes, on your stickies, can you just do like a 1 and a circle around it in the corner so we know which questions that's related to? Okay? Just a 1 and a circle so we know who that is. All right, next question. What a lovely segue, Vicky. Here's the reality, is often churches look to pastors like me to say, what's the best program we have to do? The truth is, I spend most of my time with you lot. I actually struggle to know everything that's happening in the community. I do my best, but you guys actually probably know better than me. So what I'd like for you guys to talk about is, what do you think the biggest needs are in Papamoa? What are the biggest needs that you know of? Now, if you're in the schools, talk about what you see in the schools. If you're in businesses, talk about what you see in businesses. What are the biggest needs in Papamoa? And go. Write a 2 and a circle around it so we know what it is. What are the biggest needs in Papamoa? All right, let's begin to draw that one to a close. Draw that one to a close, and we're going to look at finishing up here. All right, now what we want to do is we're going to swing around this way. Want to hear from these groups. What do you think? And again, be listening, community. What are the biggest needs in Papamoa?
Isolation and loneliness, depression and broken relationships.
Yeah. So yeah, some community issues and mental health. Yep. What do you got, David?
Opportunities for retirees to have connection.
Hold on. Shh. Let's listen, church. What's that?
There's a big group of retirees in the community.
Yeah.
And so an opportunity to be able to, for them to connect and have, meaningful engagement.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, retirees in our community is really, really good.
Morena, learning to listen and making ourselves available to listen.
Cool.
We thought there was a need in the schools with just more and more gangs coming into the community and just that peer pressure that our teens are under.
Yeah, particularly Papamoa College. It's got a lot of pressure on it right now. Yeah. Yep.
Our first one was about finances. There are still a lot of people that can't pay bills for their kids, doctors and what have you.
Yes, so, hey Sylvia, financial education right there. Yeah.
In the answer to loneliness, we think that we just need to develop a lot of meaningful relationships and take time.
Yeah.
Time for other people.
Cool, so loneliness is still a real big need. Yep.
We've put a lot of what the other people have said, but one of the other things is about the broken families and trying to support them, because that comes finances, loneliness, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the struggle for them to continue.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Is there one more there? Yeah.
Perhaps find out what people in our church community are already doing, because there could be a perception that there's not much going on, but if people are involved in their workplace or volunteering already, how can we then get alongside them and support and build on what's already doing?
Yeah.
I don't think we actually know what people do already in this church.
That's a good point. Yep. Join with Jesus where he's already at. That's cool. No, we'll finish up there. So what I want you to do, now we'll leave this group because we got one side each. I'm going to finish, and I don't want you to talk about this in groups. I want you to think about this and take this one home with you. And I want you to reflect on it. And if you need to, send me an email. Talk about it in your Connect groups. Engage with it together. Which is this big one? Having listened to that, we've got opportunities around the retirement community. And I'm actually quite excited about that one, because honestly, if you know our community, the powerhouse of our church, the most radical, terrifying, progressive thinking people in our church are often between the ages of 50 to 75. Here in this community, we wouldn't be where we are without you guys. So the thought of getting a whole lot more to me is amazing. There's nothing you can't do with semi-retired people. It's amazing. So I want you to think about going home. What one or two areas, because we can't do everything, right? We can't be everything. But God might be calling us to one or two areas, and I want to encourage you to be thinking about that for our life in our church. Where might God be calling us to? Where might God be calling you to? Because this has got to be owned communally. If we want to be a missional church, if we want to get to a level 5 mission church, this takes all of us together working to get there. This needs to be owned by all of us. So be thinking about that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pray. We're going to finish. And all of the scribes, if you have any stickies, can you come bring them up to the stage so that we can take them and collate them, and we'll check them up digitally. And I'll send them out in an email to everybody to have a look at. So you're allowed to engage and feedback on this process. We would love to hear from you, because God speaks to us together. But I really believe this is important. And it's the reason I started with mission as the first one. Because, I mean, they all intertwine, but so often thinking outside of ourselves, when the pressure comes, when life gets difficult, the first thing that churches often let go of is a missional heart. And we need to find a way to keep that core to who we are, that we never sacrifice that and we never let that go. So let's pray. Jesus, I thank you for your presence with us. I thank you for this community here who was brave and talked to each other and listened to one another. God, my prayer is that I know you are doing heaps outside of our walls. And if we could have our eyes open to all that you're doing, I think we'd actually be a little bit terrified of how risky and crazy you are at drawing all people to yourself. God, our prayer is that for us as a church and for each of us individually, you might help us to take one step closer in that journey. Lord, if we are a level 2 church, then by the end of next year, I want us to move up to level 3. I want us to be moving forward and growing so that we are ready to sacrifice and give, that we don't become like the people on Wall-E, getting frustrated by the small things, getting bored. Challenge us with your mission. Inspire us with what it means to live on the edge, where we're in faith and we're scared, but we're seeing you move. Lord, we want to see your kingdom come. We want to see people's lives restored, and we want to see our community made new. So Lord, let it be done. In your name I pray, amen. Thank you guys so much for participating on this. Please collate the stickies up here, and may the Lord bless you. May he keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you, and may the Lord give you his peace. God bless. Hang out with these people. Hopefully you made a new friend in your group, and we'll see you next week. Kappai.